Villages instead of cities. That's a farm right there, a place where he lives. This is a house. This seems to be a barn where grain is stored. A greenhouse is whole life centered around that. Buggies instead of cars. $3,500, guys. How it differs from these? I don't know. Sports instead of the internet.
What games do you play?
Volleyball.
Volleyball and softball.
Yeah.
Unusual traditions.
But you use cars for farming.
So special cars.
Tractors, no?
And strict rules. Well, imagine how you can be happy without the internet, without social media. Varlamov, imagine being happy without the internet. Generally speaking, not all Amish people give up the internet altogether. Some people do use it, though only out of necessity. Finding an Instagram star among the Amish is definitely not going to work. So to see their lives, I had to go to them myself. And traveling with me was an American blogger, a good friend of mine, Dennis. I decided not to tell you much about the Amish right away so you could see their everyday life first. We will talk about them in more detail later. I went to the Amish that live in Lancaster County in the state of Pennsylvania. This county is notable for the fact that out of the 500,000 local population, approximately 10% are Amish. Look, it's the Amish towels drying. There's the buggy. Wow, it's really a buggy right there. We've come to one of the places where the Amish live in very large quantities, quite concentrated, therefore there is an opportunity to observe their lives as if you're part of it. You can tell it's an Amish neighborhood even by the roads. It's paved differently. Whereas the roads we drive on, they have about the same wear and tear. Here, due to these narrow wheels, you see these stripes on the road, but in the middle there's also a trail of horse hoof stumps. Sometimes they have these renovations where they change the stripes in the road. The rest of the road is perfectly normal. And this part here is a little broken with horse hoofs, though most of the roads are near perfect. But you can see it straight away. There's a lot of buggies driving these roads, with trails of horse hoof stumps on this side and on that side. But if you go a little further, there's a mix, because the Amish, they don't live as colonies. They don't live concentrated together. They live among ordinary people. This is where the usual American lives, and the next door there'll be an Amish. The average American will have a car parked outside, some sort of trampoline for the kids, swimming pool, and so on. And the Amish will have a stable. He'll be stabling his horse, he'll have his buggy, maybe some other livestock too. Mostly though, of course, they'll have livestock on farms. Classic Amish life is, of course, farming. They really want to live that way, even though there's too many of them and not everyone can be a farmer. So here's the farm. It's a huge area. In the center there's a house, a stable, cattle, there's a grain elevator, and a bypass. And there's some big family living there. And the next farm, the next big family. So there they are between farms, traveling on a buggy if they need to go somewhere. The farmers, the people who are working with their hands, they're busy all the time. In fact, they practically have no free time, they're always doing something. Well, not least because everything primitive is complex and time consuming. So if an American wants to cut grass, he'll get on his lawnmower and in half an hour everything will be done. The Amish, on the other hand, might get a manual petrol lawnmower or maybe even mow it with a scythe. It also depends on the particular Amish community. In some places, some mechanization is allowed and in others it is not. Regarding the buggy traffic, there's a lot of buggies in the morning when they're traveling to work or other business, and a lot in the evening. There are dramatically fewer of them late at night because they find it difficult to drive in the dark. They hardly ever travel at night. You can always tell where the Amish live by the clothes drying outside. They always have it drying outside because, again, talking about automation, one of the few technological advances that all Amish seem to accept is the washing machine. True, they're not like ours. Their washing machines run on gas. This looks very cool, the strangeness of this accommodation. You come here and you live in a carriage. It's called a caboose. That is the carriage that used to carry the crew that accompanied the train. Friends, it's an incredible motel. Indeed, they took old carriages and put them in several rows, and every one of them has been converted into a hotel room. Well, you can see the inside in the photos. They're certainly looking a bit old, but on the outside it's a super place, especially for train enthusiasts. I've never seen anything like it, and it's sad that the carriages themselves aren't looking perfect. They're a little rusty, the paint needs some work, the aircon is out of place. I mean, the idea is terrific, but the implementation could have been improved. You can see from the cobwebs here that this room hasn't been occupied for a while. Probably when they came up with the idea, it was cool, and then as the years went by, it all got a little bit old. This needs to be very much looked after. I lived in it for a few times, but I think that one night here is interesting, but more than that is too much. But it's great that you're coming out of the room and you've got fields all around, the smell of manure. It's actually a former farm. You can go up to the silo tower. It's kind of like an observation tower for them. In the evening they light a big fire and you sit around it with other guests telling some stories. In the barn, they're showing movies, they've got like a cinema. Anyway, it's fun, it's entertaining. Most tourist hotels in America tend to be very unsightly, uninteresting. They're all the same. That's at least some variety. The restaurant is a train carriage too, and so is the reception. Everything here is an X-train carriage. They call it the Red Caboose Hotel. Well, here's one kind of Amish business. The tourists can ride these buggies. There's nobody here right now, but they usually have a guy sitting here. You sit down and he gives you a ride in a buggy. Do you feel this manure smell? That's what this part of Pennsylvania smells like. It smells like this all the time. It's a minivan because there's a passenger compartment. It's really an Amish minivan. You see, there's no glass windows, it's all fitted with these little locks. It's all covered in this transparent film and grey tarpaulin. By the way, each Amish commune has a different color. Here they all ride grey buggies, and in a different place, like New York or Ohio, they have them black. See, he's both in a field and with children at the same time. Such a universal father that solves a lot of family problems at once. But the children are very young. Yes, they've been helping their parents since they were kids working on the farm. Children are accustomed to labor from childhood. They don't have computers, they don't have consoles, they don't have internet, they don't have cartoons. There are only books, conversations with parents, and some activities around the house or in the field. In fact, that's what their life is all about. If perhaps they hadn't lived like this all their lives from childhood, they probably wouldn't have been able to preserve their identity because it's instilled right from the mother's milk. Speaking of exploitation of child labor, the kids there are about 5 to 7 years old, and they're carrying boxes doing these seedlings. They're seriously helping their parents, very young children. They have children starting to work from about 5 to 6 years of age. How does US law look at this? In that sense, they're like the children of most American farmers. It's not just the Amish. Go to any normal American farm, and if there are more than 2 children, and more often than not that's the case, they'd love to help. I mean, the kids have been working since they were toddlers. This is the most typical scenery for these places. The road running among the fields. That's a farm right there, a place where he lives. This is a house, this seems to be a barn where grain is stored, a greenhouse. They are friendly, waving their hands all the time. See this boy with his cool boots? Mom just went to get the post. Here's his garage, his buggy. That's all life is for him. We are moving away from the tourist cluster. As I mentioned, Amish attract a huge amount of attention, but it's fairly localized. There's an area where tourists congregate, where there's a motel, even a Starbucks. Well, everything you need. And we're going a little bit further away now, and there won't be any tourists there, but, on the contrary, there'll be a lot of Amish. That's the kind of cars people drive. I'm too stunned to speak. They're so primitive and ancient, but for the Amish, it's just a perfect kind of mechanization. It's primitive, ancient, not at all convenient, but also kind of more efficient than a horse. A big festival of steam tractors is held here once a year. A gathering of people who are passionate not about the internal combustion engines, but the tractors that were around at the very beginning of the last century that were steam-powered. It's almost like a steam train, only it's not traveling on the tracks, but it's traveling on the road. And this is where the festival is being held. People from all the surrounding towns and states come here, and it's an amazing spectacle. No one has ever seen a show like this. I highly recommend following the link and checking it out. I'm sure you'll be surprised that such a thing even exists. So, for us, it's amazingly striking. But for the Amish, it's such an apogee of technological advancement in their worldview. It's the perfect mode of transport. Slow, uncomfortable, but its efficiency is greater than that of a horse. I mean, you'll do more than on a horse, but still considerably less than on a modern tractor. It's a strange way of looking at life, but that's what they're like. On the one hand, here's a dude right here plowing with 6 mules in front of him, but he has this sort of clip-on trailer, a fertilizer or something that spills some kind of liquid, some kind of seeds maybe, I don't know. And this trailer is quite modern. On the opposite side, there's an absolutely normal modern house with a basketball hoop. They have some solar panels on the roof. We can tell it's an Amish family since there's a horse and all these carts. But right next to it there's a boy about 7 years old that's loading off a pile of manure and mom's shoveling the manure. It's such a wild mix of technology and tradition. From the outside, of course, it just looks unbelievable. It's hard to imagine all of this happening in this day and age. He must be sewing something. There's some kind of a fluid, and there's also a battery, so electricity is involved in the process. The thing he's got there is automatic. They tolerate technology to a certain extent. I mean, he's got horses, but he's got some sort of mechanized trailer. It happens a lot. The degree of automation is not the same everywhere. It all depends very much on the particular community. So the community gets together and decides that they have a lot of fields and they don't have time to cultivate them all. Because of this, the crop is not harvested on time. And so they need to speed things up. So they decide that this is something that can be automated, and so to do that while others will do the most primitive labor, spreading manure for nothing. So that's their decision. That's how they want to live. But of course, the main technology, if we can count it as one, for the Amish is still a wagon. Well, a buggy, as they call it around here. Here's a spring suspension. This one actually has brakes. It has brake drums on the back wheels, it got lights. You can see it in the evening, they've got indicators and so on. But they've been made to have all that. They didn't want it at all. They wanted to be as primitive as possible, but in the end, it came to the point where those who didn't have any of the security stuff, they just started getting arrested by the police. Because you can't see them at night when you're driving. You just can't see the buggy in the dark. And now, friends, we're going to take a look at what a car dealership looks like for the Amish, where all these buggies are sold, where they're serviced and repaired. We're in a buggy dealership. It's got everything you need. Firstly, gas cans can be refueled here. You can't go anywhere without them. There are various models of these buggies for sale here. This one is $1,500. Awesome. It's used. I don't know what year is it from. I don't know if it's gone through MOT, but it looks relatively okay. Certainly a bit worn, but on the other hand, what's there to break? Here's this amazing, sparkling varnish all over buggy. Offers accepted. The price is negotiable because it's glamour, glitz, and beauty. It looks new, I think. Look at those springs, not a single bump inside. These wheels don't know horse manure yet. It's all new, guys. Here's a used one, again. There's some sort of an illegible ad, and you need to call someone. Price is negotiable, but we're really not interested. This one here is $1,500. but it's a bit of a mess. What about the $2,500 ones? It seems to be newer. For this money, you can get a newer buggy. It has lights at the front. Judging by the $900 price tag, this one is a load of rubbish. On the other hand, I don't see how they are different. They are visually exactly the same. $3,500, guys. This one is $3,500. How it differs from these? I don't know. The interior upholstery is green inside. Of course, it needs a few little tweaks here and there. There is a brake pedal, the controls. Very good. But actually, these don't have windscreen wipers. And this one does, but only one. All of these ones are old, except for that new one there. And here it is again. A brand new buggy, just off the assembly line. Or at least after the renovation, I don't know. This one sold already, it's waiting for its owner. It has new LED lights. The interior is terrific. It smells like paint. The actual interior isn't there yet, but it's probably customized. By the way, just so you know, the Vipers are manual, so you have to operate them manually. And this one's a cargo modification. This is where you can carry the load or put up the benches and a few more people can ride in the back. An announcement, help wanted. We need someone to work with our team in building repairing and restoring horse-drawn vehicles. They are willing to pay well to anyone who does a good job. They don't say how much they're willing to pay though. Here are the batteries, new wheels. The price of a new buggy can be as much as $10,000. It's all done manually. Well, friends, what an amazing factory this is. A buggy factory, as one might call it. The place where these amazing buggies are born and then are driving along the roads of Pennsylvania and are a delight to locals and passing tourists. And even though we are not in a buggy, we finally reached an Amish town. Now let's talk about them in more detail. Friends, I came to see the Amish. They are such conservative religious people who lived in close communities, mostly in America and Canada. The life of the Amish is quite different from the life of modern man that we are accustomed to. Some communities still don't have electricity and have horse-drawn carriages instead of cars. Virtually none of them are watching television and listen to the radio, although some of them use the internet. But it's very unlikely they'll find my YouTube channel and watch this video. Also, the Amish have a lot of children. They deny abortion and contraception. They usually have 5 to 7 children in their families. Amish descended from Anabaptist religious radical. Those, in turn, emerged in the era of the Reformation of the 16th century, when all over Europe, in opposition to the Catholic Church, various new doctrines were born. The Protestants, the Anglican Church, all of this came into being at the same time as the Anabaptists. The authorities of European countries believed Anabaptists to be heretics, so they persecuted them and drove them out of their territories. The Anabaptists hid from reprisals in the mountains of Switzerland and southern Germany. In 1693, a split occurred there between the leaders of the movement. The protagonist of this controversy was the Swiss leader Jacob Amann, who insisted on stricter discipline in all congregations. He urged more frequent prayer and the use of avoidance method, which is the type of punishment where members of the community ignore the offender until they repent of their sins. Amann did not have the required support and separated from his associates, and the men who had followed them were called the Amish, consonant with his surname. The kid sees that we're filming him. They're usually very interested in what's happening. You see, the adult waved at us. They're very kind-hearted, they're very humane, nice people who always smile, always wave, say hello to strangers. You come here and you don't feel like some kind of outsider who's being looked down upon. There are the Amish scooters. The restaurant workers, they don't use bicycles, they use scooters like this. Again, it depends on the community. There are communities that have bicycles, but these Amish don't have them. So it's not like we don't have bikes because they're bad, no. It's just that they don't use it and that's it. All our grandfathers didn't use it and we won't. No credit cards accepted. Yes, they only accept cash or checks. Remember the Big Lebowski film where he buys a carton of milk for a check? That's what life's like here too. The woman is relatively old and she's wearing clothes that's, well, very conservative. She's wearing a bonnet that's covering her face. This carriage is fashionable though. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, it's all very interesting of course, but... Oh, such a noisy lorry. But you feel like you're still doing something wrong. You're filming very good people who don't like to be filmed and they don't say anything. Dennis, do you feel like we're doing something wrong? I feel ashamed, to be honest. It's really embarrassing. I mean, I'd already be filming a lot, but I realize that they don't like it, so it doesn't feel good. I mean, we film them to tell others how awesome they are. Well, basically, yeah, I'm not doing anything wrong, but still the feeling that we're doing something bad won't go away. Local activists might come in and start lecturing you. Have they lectured you before? Yes, they said filming the Amish is bad, they don't like it. I'm just setting you up for it. It seems strange to all of you that Amish don't like being filmed, but there's logic behind it. Modern technology is denied by some not because they're afraid that a car or an electrical outlet will steal their soul. They believe that technological innovations like the camera or television awaken selfishness and pride in man, which are contrary to their basic principles: modesty, humility, patience, and the pursuit of the common good. Many people make their own compromises using technology at work and in the home. For example, they have electricity in their farms, or for communication purposes they install a common phone box in the neighborhood. For the Amish, vanity is a mortal sin. Vanity is defined as any attempt to talk about yourself, to show off, and to make yourself look good. I've asked one of the Amish we've been talking to what was the worst moment of their life. He said, "The worst moment of my life was when they put my picture on the front page of the local village newspaper. And they put the picture there because they got an amazing collection of drawings of animals. It was back when he was still back in high school and it took him a long time to get over it. And he still remembers it with a shudder the moment his picture was on the front page of the newspaper. The Amish hate popularity, but they understand what a comfortable environment is. What can they do in the bank? Well, they have some business, they've got a bank account and they need to put money in to pay taxes. They live ordinary lives just like all Americans. They do exactly the same things. If he has revenue, he's coming here, takes it to the bank, earns $20, brings it back and puts it in his savings account. The banking system is used like any other. What does a typical provincial American bank look like? As we know, Americans really don't like to get out of their cars, so even the bank can be reached by car. There's a driveway right behind me and you can drive the car to the ATM, to the window, and basically do whatever you need to do. But because we are in a place where Amish people live, Amish people come to the bank on the horses, then some banks, as well as other establishments, will have a full-fledged stall where you can keep your horse, or there'll be a place to tie those horses up. If you suddenly want to walk to the bank, note the hooves, the horseshoes trail in the center. And there's two narrow tracks on the side from the carriages. As we can see, there's a car park. An ordinary car park for, well, cars, and this thing there for tying up the horses. There's also a space for bikes, for their scooters. I mean, that's all the local people here need, to park and lock a scooter, tie up a horse or park the car and go to the bank. There's also a shovel here so you can clean up the manure after your horse. Someone here has already done it. The perfect cleanliness here is simply astounding. We're far away from a big city and it's absolutely perfectly clean here. Sometimes I think of the Russian province all covered in weeds, deserted houses and all that, and compared to that, the Amish live in a fairy tale. Perfect fields, perfect lawns, everything looks beautifully groomed, no rubbish. Look at the curbs, there's a lawn everywhere, there's no fences. You want to stay here, live and be happy. But they won't let me stay here. What's actually surprising about the Amish shops is that they often just don't have a salesperson in them, but nobody steals anything. Oh, that's funny. Somebody left a note here. Lena King says, I forgot to bring cash. I took 4 dozens of eggs. I'll pay next time. Thank you. That's nice. And you can put your checks in here. Is there anything in the fridge? Yes, there are some eggs. It's all full of eggs and lemonade. It's kombucha. And it's $3 for a dozen of eggs. And these are actually free-range chicks. They aren't hatchery raised, they are the healthiest chickens. Anyway, the main problem is finding people. Because even on a farm that sells something, it's self-service. You see this house with a crescent moon? It's an outdoor toilet. Another Amish shop. What do they sell here? They have strawberries for $3.50. They sell salt, some herbs, jam. More jam, salsa, plants in cups. And do you put the money in this little bag here? No. There's a jar right here. There's no security lock or anything. One can steal the money. You just lift this up, open the lid, and there's money. So for example, we buy strawberries, let's say we have $5 and the strawberries are $3.50. So we have to get our own change. So we take out the money, we find $1.50. Well, I'm not taking the 50 cents, but as you can see, there's some change in this jar. So we put in $5, we take out $1, we close the jar. It's not store-bought strawberries, not Mexican, feels like it's locally grown. They might even be tasty. Let me pour some water over it. I don't think it's been washed. This is where they sell sprouts. They sell tomatoes, flowers and stuff like that. You can take anything you want, put the money in, and that's it. Let's buy some strawberries.
Sweet?
There's kids selling it.
Smells good. Can I have one? Strawberries.
See? They're writing it all in a notebook.
How old are you?
I'm 12.
12. And you?
5.
5.
What is the name?
Steven Jr.
Oh, say it again, please.
Steven Jr.
Steven. And you?
Linda.
Lina. Ah, I'm Dennis.
Ilya. Press button for service. Okay.
That's fine. Then you want to get $1 more?
Oh, it's 20. You owe me 15.
Oh, yeah.
They have an education problem here. They really can't count.
Is that right?
That's fine.
Don't you want the coins yet?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Tomatoes. They're not from their farm, right? It's their tomatoes. Ah, they've grown them in the greenhouse? Yes, do you want some tomatoes? They don't smell. Do you think they'll be nice?
I don't know. Is it tasty?
Yeah, I like it.
She says she loves them. Little shops like this can be even more interesting to tourists than to the Amish themselves. And the locals are quite happy to go to the regular supermarkets. Here is a supermarket. What have we got here? There is an ordinary car park in front of the supermarket. Car parking and horse parking where these Amish buggies are parked. So the man bought food in the supermarket and is carrying a trolley. It's just like everywhere else. They come to the car park, go shopping into the supermarket and so on. But for some reason they don't have cars, and I can't understand why. I mean, there's not even some kind of a religious thing, like when the Orthodox Jews have their own shops, their own kosher food. It's a normal supermarket. They use the usual services, the usual banks, but at the same time, for example, they only dress like this. They're riding their buggies and so on. It's very strange and interesting. So that's what a farmer market looks like. Well, it's a market for tourists because with their unusual lifestyle, Amish naturally attract attention. And in this region, it's not everywhere. They live in many American states, but only in Pennsylvania they made it into a huge tourist industry. Their conservative lifestyle has created a huge influx of tourists who come to see them. Markets like this are made for tourists, although some Amish still shop here. You can see who's who by their clothes. They sell souvenirs, different local products. Something that's very popular is making a patchwork quilt like this one here. You can actually buy this one. They're very fond of all sorts of Bible quotes. Things to do with God. Let's go find God. Pray more, believe, and so on. They're very much into all this cute stuff, and this is where they sell these things for tourists too. Atheists who are far from God come here to meet people who believe strongly in God. Such strange tourism of non-religious people to religion. What do you think of this picture? Jesus is my guide, leading me. Since it all has Swiss and German roots, they have sausages in batter, pretzels, and things like that. It's an Amish thing, and they have this business all across America. Tell the people what it tastes like. They'll be very interested in hearing that. It tastes like a homemade soup made by their mom.
Did you want mayo on it?
Yeah, yes, please. Thank you.
There's a lot of starch, you can't feel much asparagus. It's edible. It's also got some salad, it's a serving like this one, and meatballs with nothing. It's like a home kitchen, there's a cooker. There's no dishwasher or anything like that. And they always have an older woman who's a manager and she has young people working for her. There's one important thing that you have to understand about electricity and stuff. They can often use it for business. I mean, if the business requires it, they can kind of turn a blind eye to it and they can use it. It's funny how touristy the prices are in the market here. It's quite expensive. And if you go to the shop the local go to, the price tag there will be 3 times as low. 3 times? Yes, on some products. You see, organic products are very popular right now. Yeah, and the Amish products are as organic as it gets. You can probably find a product that's more organic. And so, of course, the prices are high. But it's all important, not local, no? I mean, those apples aren't local, are they? Well, it's just not an apple season yet, so people are selling these apples. But in the autumn, when the harvest is underway, they sell their own. My point is that they are good at monetizing this trend. People know what they produce is tasty. Yes, but they're not the ones growing it, they're just selling it. Yes, these tomatoes are probably local, but, well, if they have their own harvest, that's what they'll be selling. If their tomatoes or anything else is not fully grown, they're going to import it. It's a vegetable shop. Why don't they use cars? Life must be busy with. No, hang on. Look, a car takes as much time as anything else. He could have bought an old car. He bought an old tractor and he's trying to fix it 24 hours a day. I mean, he drives forklifts, he uses a tractor, sometimes an old one, and so on. But they don't use the car out of principle. That's why such a block is specifically on a personal vehicle. Another village shop filled to the brim with all sorts of super interesting stuff. I don't even want to go in so I don't get upset. That's how many different lawnmowers they have. I want to buy all of them. 35 different kinds of wheelbarrows. So many different hen houses and rabbit houses. And of course the fashionable buggy that an Amish came here in. I like the warning. It says don't throw manure on the grass. This is apparently a big problem. You see it there? Outside one of the village shops, we managed to speak to an Amish guy who had come here shopping in a buggy.
This is your horse.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You ride the course all the time?
Well, we have like taxi drivers. You know, if we want to go somewhere like to work in the morning, we'll go with the driver.
And it's a regular guy. The driver is like the
Right.
regular American, not the Amish.
Right.
And why don't you use cars?
I don't really know if I could answer that. You know, our forefathers never used cars.
Because it's tradition.
I think
like
so.
it's-
Yeah, like the tradition of
The way you are, the way,
the way we were brought up.
Have you even drive yourself?
Car?
Yeah, car.
No.
No, never. And you never want to drive? Only horse.
Never had desire to drive.
But it's more comfortable. It's easy.
Yeah, sure. But I think it's more like get used to. I'm not sure how to word it, but
But you're happy with that, right? It's that style of life. You
Right,
ride in the
that's how
course and you're happy. You don't need the car.
that's how we grew up, I guess. I think it's a lot to that. How you were brought up. I think. Like if you would want to start to be Amish, how would it feel?
Huh?
How would it feel now? You would put your car away and you start driving a buggy.
I never ride in the buggy.
No, I'm just talking. I'm just talking.
How old are you?
58
58.
58.
This is your children?
grandchildren.
Grandchildren.
Yeah.
And how many children you have?
6. We have 3 boys and 3 girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our youngest one just had their first baby this week.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, they're all married.
And you live all your life in Lancaster County. Do you travel like in the?
Have you ever been abroad, United States?
We don't travel much.
No,
You know, like once a year our family all gets together for 3 days somewhere in cabin, mountains.
But it's not far from here.
No, like 60 miles. Maybe.
Have you been ever in New York City?
Oh yeah.
You've been? What do you do in New York City?
Well, I used to have a gazebo business, so we made gazebos in the days, and we had dealers in Long Island.
I got it.
So I went over there a couple of times.
What do you think about the New York City? It's a crazy place.
Oh my goodness. We actually have, right now, we have like a little small shop that we make furniture, custom furniture. And a guy's working for us that used to live in Italy. And he moved to New York. And he did landscaping in New York City. He said, I'll never do it again.
And you've never been abroad?
In Mexico or overseas?
Canada?
I was in Canada a couple of times.
Okay,
So travel a lot.
I mean, we did there for a while. Yeah, but when we were making gazebos, we had a
It's for the business.
dealer in Canada. Yeah.
In a world tearing itself apart over borders and beliefs, where everyone's chasing money and filtering their faces for likes, I have to admit, this doesn't look half so bad. No cameras, no crowds, no stress about what anyone thinks, just families, farms, and a system that actually works. A jar of cash sitting alone in an empty shed, and nobody makes an attempt upon it. Can you imagine? They're not trying to be different, they just are. And honestly, in 2026, that kind of quiet confidence feels almost radical. Maybe we're not meant to live like this, but it sure makes me wonder what we're missing. And at the very least, it's something to consider. My friends, if you love exploring different cultures and traditions, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video.